Do you feel like your playing doesn't flow the way you want it to? I get it. I was there too, struggling with that same frustration. But for me, learning one type of music made a huge difference and changed everything. Believe it or not, that was 1950s style rock, and in particular, one song, Rock This Town by Stray Cats. We'll see what made the big difference coming right up. I grew up listening to the Beatles, the Stones, and Led Zeppelin, and players like Clapton and especially Jimmy Page. But I was in awe of some of the players of the 1950s, like that guy who played the solo on Rock Around the Clock, Danny Cedrone. How did he do that? And then there was Brian Setzer, who took the style to a whole new level in the 1980s. At the time, I figured it was out of reach, and anyway, I was into blues rock, so why not just play that? But when I finally learned Rock This Town, I realized I was missing out on something that made my life a lot easier. So I want to share that with you today. But before I get to the solo, here are some simple takeaways to keep in mind as we go through it. Now, these are important because it's the best way to play fluidly by keeping it simple. First, players of the 50s often used really simple chord progressions, like for example, this 12-bar blues in D that's shown here. Very common in the 50s to use progressions like this. Second, there's no fancy scales. Usually just minor and major pentatonic are used, and usually just in position 1. But the key is to combine them in the same place. Here's the D minor pentatonic, and here's the D major pentatonic in the same place, the fretboard. And now here they are combined. Now, that's a lot of information to sink in, a lot of notes. So to simplify it, just focus on one area of the fretboard. Like, for example, this based on the E-shaped D chord right here. Some people call this position 1. There's a lot of mileage you can get out of just that one position. One last thing is that when in doubt, just play the chord. If there's a weird chord change, or even when there isn't, you can always play a rhythmic idea around that chord. Something simple like... All right, let's check out Rock This Town and see how all these ideas come to action. First thing we'll want to check out is the chord progression. Here we can see it's not quite a simple blues in D, but it's similar to it. We'll start out with 6 bars of D, and then 2 bars of A7, the 5 chord, back to the 1 chord, D for 2 bars, and then we've got a couple of interesting things here. We've got 1 bar of G7, the 4 chord, and then we've got a bar of E7. That's kind of an oddball chord before it goes into the turnaround section for the last 4 bars, D7, A7, and then 2 bars of D to end it. So, as we'll see, Brian Setzer is going to follow the chords. Okay, let's start out with the D licks because that's how the solo starts. So it starts out like this. And this is just a combination of the major and minor pentatonic in this position 1. So I'll take a slower look at it and you'll see that that's exactly what's going on. Okay, and now we continue, still playing over the D, and you'll see it's still that combination of major and minor pentatonic while we're kind of outlining the chords. Again, combination of major and minor pentatonic, and occasionally like outlining a chord, like this chord right here, that repeated line. Yeah, it's hard to play that fast, but it should be pretty clear what's going on right there. Believe it or not, that's half the solo already. Now it gets kind of interesting because we've got those interesting changes coming up. How did Brian handle those? So now we've got 2 bars of D followed by a G7 and then that E7. Very interesting. First, the 2 bars of D, that should be no great shakes. We're just going to do the combination of major and minor pentatonic right here in position 1. That's exactly what happens. Pretty cool line though. Now we've got the G. Remember when I said when in doubt, play a chord? Well, that's what happens right here. That's just a little triad chord. right? And we're playing something interesting around that. Now we've got that E7. What's going to happen over there? Well, here's what I think he played. Now, what is this? This is really just 2 notes in an E7 chord, right? That's being played over and over, which is pretty neat. See what I mean about just playing the chord when in doubt? It makes life really simple. It's not so hard to play that fluidly. And at E7, what scale do I play over it? What's going on? Don't need to know, just play the chord basically. All right, let's see how he ended it. All right, the last line is just basically a D to an A, back to a D again, and here's what he chose to play. Okay, this line right here. That's really just right out of a D major pentatonic. And, you know, even in here, we could also combine the major and minor pentatonic in this position. But let's just keep it simple for now. So if you're feeling stuck, this 50s style, along with its simplifications, can really help you out. Like Rock This Town helped me out. And if you want to start building that smooth chord by chord approach into your own play, check out this video where I go over a truly simple exercise and example that's all about flowing through chords. So check out this video. I'll see you there, and I'll see you on down the road.